Good morning. We'd like to welcome everybody to the 2025 version of our Federal Program Planning Committee meeting. We want to thank everyone for attending today, and we truly do appreciate your input and we appreciate your time. We're going to try to be cognizant of that. We're going to be as thorough as we can, but also try to keep it within an hour. So we thank you for dedicating an hour to Anderson School District 3, because federal programs in its design is to be a grassroots type program and to get input from community, faculty, staff, students, stakeholders throughout our area so we can better serve our community, schools, and students with the dollars that we're provided. But we could never do anything without the support of our superintendent and our school board. So let me take just a moment to thank them, Ms. Kathy Hipp, and we do have our board chair, Mr. Marty Watt, that are in attendance. I hear horror stories whenever I have to go to state and United States Department of Education meetings about superintendents who make sure that those federal dollars are spent in a specific way or earmark dollars without schools' inputs. And I can honestly say that in our school district, they've been so supportive. They do have tremendous amount of input, but where the dollars hit in the schools actually are driven by the schools themselves, which is the design of the federal programs. And you'll see that as we unfold and unpackage some of the programs and their design. So at this time, I'd like to recognize Ms. Hipp for her to bring greetings to the committee.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you, Dr. Nixon, and to our principals and staff for everything you do. We are very thankful for the money we get through federal funds, and I'm thankful to you that you do such a diligent job of making sure that those dollars impact our students in classrooms. End of the day, that's what we do if we take care of students. So I thank you for your diligence. I thank you for your input. And I'm going to let you get started.
Well, thank you, Ms. Hipp. Thank you, Mr. Watt. Appreciate your support and
Yes,
appreciate your attendance.
Yes, sir.
As they're talking about the funding, we're going to discuss approximately $1.3 million worth of funding that comes to Anderson School District 3. And I can honestly say in the last 12 years that I've been working with federal programs, I've seen the iteration change from district-led programming to truly grassroots and school-led programming. And I can also say that I've seen an increase in our student performance and our district performance to increase from rank number 47th in the state to being ranked number 5 in the state. So I think it's really easy to see a correlation between dollars spent and performance, and having those principals and teachers lead how those dollars are spent have obviously shown a tremendous increase in our student performance in Anderson School District 3. So now we can dive into our largest program, which is Title I. The hyperlink at the top of each of the slides will take you to a description of what Title I is from the state level. And so if anybody has any interest to dive any deeper, please feel free to click on that and it can take you to that information. But Title I in its design is to take high poverty areas. So you have to be a high poverty district. In our district, approximately 3 out of 4 children fall below the poverty level. So we have an average of about 75% poverty in Anderson School District 3, give or take on a given year. And the design is to take those students and provide them with the same opportunities or similar opportunities that students in a more affluent school district would be provided. So we receive $962,616 through Title I funding. Now you can see how that amount has decreased, and there are a lot of factors and there are a lot of metrics that go into how that money is allocated from the federal government down to our state and then trickles down to us. If you're interested in more information about that, feel free to reach out to me. I won't go into detail there, but it is dictated by the amount of poverty that we have statewide. And if one district were to increase in poverty, our allocation were to decrease, and vice versa if the opposite were to happen. So we'll go into the breakdown of how we spend that money in Anderson School District 3. You can see that the lion's share is spent in salaries and benefits. And I know that everyone can agree that there's no more impactful thing than teachers in the classroom and small class sizes. We have been dedicated to that in the past decade in Anderson School District 3 to keep those numbers low in those classrooms Student to teacher ratios below 20 in our elementary schools has always been our goal. In fact, our goal is 18-1 in our elementary schools. And that one-to-one interaction that teachers can provide, a qualified, certified, high-quality teacher can have more impact in 180 days than any program, any resource, any supply that we can put in a student's hands, a Chromebook, or any technology. So we do spend a tremendous amount of money on salaries and benefits. But on the same side, you can have the best teacher in the world. If they're not equipped with the supply of the materials that they need, they're going to struggle. So you can also see that we spent $33,622.17 on supplies and materials. That was a decrease from prior year, and we'll get into more detail about how those supplies and materials are impacting our students whenever the individual schools do their presentations. And then finally, the biggest shift, we've removed a lot of our purchase services in the way of computer program licenses and things that the schools have purchased in the past for student engagement through technology. We've removed those from federal funds and put those into our general fund. And the reason being is that there's a situation with federal programs called supplement, not supplant. And basically they're saying if you're providing resources at different grade levels that are not Title I schools or federally funded schools, you cannot use federal funds to provide the same experience. So while we pay for computer programming and for students to have access to these programs in middle and high school in general fund, we're continuing to do that in general fund in elementary schools as well. So that's the reason for that decrease there as well. Not that we've taken a lot of programs away. We've just decided to shift that funding over into the general fund because it aligns more with federal guidelines. And then finally, the indirect cost. That indirect cost is to cover electricity, copying, administrative cost, a host of list of things that go under indirect cost, and that's just a federal guideline. We can take up to 4% of the total allocation of any of our federal programs. We have never taken the maximum amount in Anderson School District 3 because that's money that's taken off the top and doesn't get an opportunity to go to the schools. So you can see that we take $25,028.20. 4% would be $38,005. So we're well under that 4% cap that's allowed by the federal government. So how does the money get to the schools? Okay, we have a thing called district set aside. So if we go back to the previous slide and look at our amount of $962,616, we do have administrative salaries. Ms. Cheryl Smith is a portion of her salary is paid for out of federal funds because she does all of the purchasing and purchase orders and approvals and ordering things for the schools out of Title I money. An additional percentage of a salary that's covered in Title I would be Ms. Davis, who you'll hear from later, who is our parent involvement coordinator, and we'll talk about her work in the district as well. So those things, some travel purchase services for school level administrators and district level administrators, and those salaries comes out to about $98,399, which leaves $864,217 to be distributed to the schools. And that money is distributed based on need. So basically we get a report that does our pupils in poverty. And there's several metrics that go into that: Medicaid, Medicare, if you qualify for government assistance, all of that information is compiled into one report and gives our percentage poverty at each location. So what we do is we divide that percentage poverty into the total student population and get a number total for the district and divide that in that $864,217. And we get an average student expenditure of $986.55. So when you hear your schools talk about the amount of money that they receive in their allocation, that's what they're referring to. The number of students they have that live in poverty within that school multiplied times that $986.55 factor, and that's how the money is allocated. Different districts do it different ways, but they can allocate based on percentage poverty. So a higher poverty school receives more of the money. For fairness and for us to feel like it's equitable, we have made the decision that a child of poverty in Flat Rock receives the same amount of money as a child of poverty in Star Elementary School. So We choose to do it that way, and we feel like that's the most fair and equitable way to do it. I did mention district set aside, so we can now skip down to one of the things that we take money off the top for as well. And this program is very important in our district. It's our McKinney-Vento program. And McKinney-Vento money is in our district set aside, and it's immediately taken off the top of all Title I funding to serve students that fall under homelessness. And the definition for homelessness is any student that does not have a permanent nighttime residence. So in Anderson School District 3, we have 105 students that are categorized under the federal definition. We send correspondence out to those students multiple times throughout the year and offer them services to help them in their educational pursuits. And we've had 33 students accept assistance, and we provided that assistance in a number of various ways, from gift cards, school supplies, hygiene products, transportation. Their cap and gown for graduation. We've helped them with instrument purchases for participation in band. Anything that would be a hurdle for them to participate in their educational experience, just like their peers, we can use funding to help with those programs. We spend about $150 per student. You can go to our webpage, and I mentioned it to this group because we have had such tremendous feedback and tremendous assistance from this federal programs meeting. I can't tell you the number of people that have reached out afterwards or said, I know a group that's always looking, or a group in my church or my youth group or other programs that are around our community that have been an extension of this meeting that have said, we'd like to sponsor a child, or we'd like to get involved. And that kind of help has been phenomenal. There is no federal funding that's earmarked that's directly attached to McKinney-Vento. So it's up to individual districts to do whatever percentage of set aside or whatever percentage per student that they feel is appropriate. So volunteer money and support money and people just donating resources has been an absolute necessity to that program. We do have a portable space and a portable behind Ive Elementary, where we used grant money to set up a resource facility. So we do have storage. So if you have anything that you think might help any of these families, please don't hesitate to reach out to me. Or if you know a contact, please give me that contact and I'll be glad to reach out to that group as well. So that's that for McKinney-Vento, and that's that for district set aside. So now we get into the meat and potatoes of what's at the ground level, working with our families and working with our students. And there's tremendous research out there that talks about the correlation between parent involvement. Recently read a study by Farmer from Indiana State. It came out last year, and it was a meta-analysis and a study that talked about the involvement of parents, and especially at the elementary level. And basically the gist of it was, if we can get parents involved in the early childhood and elementary years, how that extends to student performance and student achievement and throughout their high school career. It was amazing correlation between high school graduation rate and parent satisfactions and school satisfactions within our district. And I can tell you that high poverty parents, oftentimes the research shows, have had bad experiences in their own education experience. So us creating a culture and environment where we present opportunities for people to come into a warm, nurturing, interactive opportunity means the world to parents. And that's the way we hook them, and that's the way we get them involved in their child's education. Bringing them in for a report card night and talking about their kids' grades or whatever, that's not the idea around parent involvement. It's engagement, it's immersion into the educational experience, from stream nights to other opportunities to going out into the community. And I'm so excited what Ms. Davis is doing and will continue to do. So at this time, I'll turn it over to her.
Good morning, everyone. Parent involvement is so important in the schools. Here on the slide, you'll see that we have a parent involvement policy and a school parent compact. There's a link right here on this slide to both of those. I would encourage you to go onto the link and review both of the policies. And if you have any suggestions or feedback or any questions about it, please reach out to Dr. Nixon, and he'll be glad to take any suggestions that you might have. And we always are, this is a working document. We always make changes to it anytime we need to. But both of those documents are very important. We share these policies through ThrillShare newsletters. We send them out at the beginning of the year to every parent. Both of those documents are shared each year. A lot of the different things that we do to involve parents in our schools is we have Muffins for Mom, and you can see some of the pictures here where we have activities that go along with this. As the parents come in, they read books to their students. They do activities. We also did Donuts for Dad, and you can see in the picture right there, Dad. We did let dads paint pumpkins with them, and we gave them a book about pumpkins. We also did trunk or treats at all 3 of the schools where we gave out free books. Instead of giving out candy, we gave candy too, but we gave books so parents could read at home with their child, because reading is so important. We also conduct parent conferences, meetings, and home visits. Those are things that we feel are very important to try to get parents involved in the schools. We have parent workshops, and we also provide resources so parents can do activities at home. This year we gave every K-4 child their own little book bin, where each month they are getting a book that's sent home to them that parents can read to them. And so they're having their own little home library. We also gave out scissors, crayons, glue sticks, pencils, things like that. So we could send activities home too, so parents could kind of work with their kids at home. Our end of the year events, we're going to have a kickoff to kindergarten, where this is where K-4 students and parents get to meet their K-5 teachers for the next school year. So that's kind of exciting event. So those K-4 parents are kind of seeing what the K-5 classrooms are like, and actually getting to meet all the teachers before the end of the year. We also have an upcoming field trip for our K-4s. They'll be going to the Anderson County Library. They also will receive their own library card so they can check out books during the summer as well. One thing I didn't mention is we also provide books and activities for stream nights at the elementary schools throughout the year. All right, on the next slide. We also have Raising a Reader, which is a program that's at all 3 elementary schools. We also do this in our Head Start programs that are at Star and at Flat Rock. This is where a book bag goes home with the kids twice a month, and it has 3 to 4 books in it. And this is a bi-weekly program, so students can receive books that go home where parents can read to them in the evenings. It seems to be very successful. The kids are really excited to take those little book bags home with them each week. We've talked about library cards. Each student will receive those. We also have community libraries and learning trails. This is throughout our Star Alva community. Anybody can go up, and this is for adults and children too, and get a book. And basically we'll say just grab a book. It's like a lending library, read it, and then return it, or add a book if you have one. Either way. We've added 3 community library boxes this year, 3 new ones. We partnered with the town of Alva, and Tim Taylor put up 2 in the town of Alva. And then we also partnered with the Ag at Crescent High School, and they put one up at the walking track at Flat Rock Elementary. So we provide books and are constantly upgrading those books for those libraries. For our upcoming summer learning opportunities, we are providing reading and writing kits for all our K-4 students. They'll have books and little activity books that they can take home with them for the summer, and parents can work with them over the summer with those to get them ready for kindergarten. Now for our proposed budget for the next school year, we will develop in conjunction with parents and distribute our parent involvement policy and our school parent compact. We'll also continue our Raising a Reader at all 3 elementary schools and our Head Start programs. We'll continue updating our libraries and our learning trails, putting new books in for parents and students to go and check those out or borrow those. We will provide all K4 with their personal library boxes, and we will also provide them with school supplies and activities to take home so they can do different activities throughout the school year that are sent home. We will provide a book a month for all our K4 students. We will continue to host Donuts with Dad and Muffins with Mom events. We will do our summer reading and writing kits for all our K4. We will also provide resources like brochures, magnets, etc. We'll purchase those, and activities for parent workshops and school events. We'll continue to give out books at stream nights, literacy nights, our fall or spring festivals, Halloween on Main, fall festivals, egg hunt, spring fling, anywhere that we can go to give a book, to put a book in a child's hands. We're willing to do that. So if there are any new events, I'll be glad to add these to our list of activities that we are already planning on completing. But our biggest thing is we want our parents involved in our schools, because when a parent is involved with their student, then there's such an increase in the learning for each student. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Davis. I know all of you were like me, and you couldn't help but look at those pictures and see those kids hugging each other and see those opportunities they had to get in there with their parents. And, you know, you never can quantify that type of experience and what it has truly for student achievement. But I know what we are doing is making great memories for parents and kids, and great opportunities for them to have a loving, caring environment that they know they send their kids to on a daily basis. So just warmed my heart. So thank you, Ms. Davis, for all you do working with our schools to get that kind of relationship off on the right foot. We truly do appreciate what you do and what you provide for our community and district. But we can go now to one of my favorite portions of our entire presentation, which is our schools talking about how they use Title I and the amazing things they have going on within their schools. And I know our schools are going to kind of allude to their performance and how well they're doing in their individual presentations. So I'm not going to steal any of that thunder from them, but thank you guys for all you do. So first we'll hear from Ive Elementary, Principal Austin Powell.
Hey, good morning, y'all. We'll start off. We every single school year, at the end of the school year, we have some surveys that go out for our parents and our teachers. And so then anything that we use our Title I funds for the next school year, we use that data from that input from our parents and our teachers to see what they would suggest first, what they they hear from their children, and then what the teachers need in their classroom. So of course, if you go ahead and flip to that next slide for me, the biggest amount of funds goes towards salaries and benefits for 2 teachers that we have here and our reading interventionist. Just to give you some quick numbers, if we didn't have one of our second grade teacher there, we would be over 30 students per classroom. So with that second grade teacher, we do bring that ratio down to 20 students to 1 teacher. And then in 4th grade, it's a little bit less than that. So without our extra 4th grade teacher there, we would be at about 28 to 29 students per classroom. And then thankfully that drops down to 19 students per teacher in those classrooms in 4th grade. So great help there in lowering those class sizes. Also, our reading interventionist, she sees about 30 students in small groups every single day. That's from kindergarten up to 5th grade. And then something new that we've done this year is she does push into a new 1st grade teacher that we have here, a student intern. And then she also has started helping out in our 2nd grade math classroom as well. So she does some push-ins when she has free blocks, and she isn't pulling students out for specific reading intervention needs. You can go ahead and go to that next slide. Other than that, another big bulk of our funding does go to instructional materials. And you can see some pictures there, some of the things I'm about to describe. So, of course, we go for supplies in all grade levels, K4 through 5th grade. Materials for intervention. This year, we've done a lot of enrichment activities and book studies during our intervention block. So one big purchase was the Wild Robot. We've been doing that with multiple groups in 3rd through 5th grade. You'll see some pictures later on, but there's one picture in the top right there where some students were making their version of the robot from the Wild Robot. Also, we did a book study with Judy Moody in 1st grade, and then we just recently purchased the new SC Performance Coach books. We used those in grades 3 through 5 in reading and math, and then we're waiting on science as well. Something else we kicked off this year is some different math enrichment activities for intervention purposes. So one is Math Olympiad. So that's something I actually stole from Miss Grice at the middle school. She had been doing that when I taught there. And so that is something we brought here a few years ago. And so we've continued to purchase that and let teachers have those activities and those assessments that they do. You actually get access to all the previous year's questions as well. So as students move up to 3rd grade, you can kind of have some for them to practice on before the new ones are released. So those are great enrichment tools for our math teachers. And then another initiative we just recently concluded was our March Mathness initiative, where we were focusing on fluency. And so we used some Title I funding for that. The bottom 2 pictures you see there, a couple of our K5ers on the right there, they were the homeroom champions. And then the little girl on the left, she was the overall grade level champion for 4th grade. We had the 3rd, 4th, and 5th graders compete as grade levels, not individual classrooms. So much tougher competition, but it was super awesome to see them perform and compete for their math fluency championship. And then lastly on this slide, we do purchase the Scholastic Let's Find Out newspapers for kindergarten, the Scholastic newspapers for 1st through 5th grade, and then Super STEM for our STEM classroom. You can flip to that next one when you're ready. Thank you. Under subscriptions, we use a lot of these for just some reinforcement. So Progress Learning for 4th grade science, and then also including science there for IXL and social studies for IXL and 3rd through 5th grade, just as an extra resource for them to help when they are teaching those science and social studies standards in 3 through 5. And then we do use reading eggs for and math seeds. Oh, go back for me. Sorry. Reading eggs and math seeds for K5 and 1st grade. And then we have just recently pushed in some of our K4 students into both of those as well. We had a few extra licenses, and so we were able to find some room to push some of those K4 students in there as well for reading eggs and math seeds. And then a couple other computer programs that are a little more game-based, but still help with reinforcing both math and reading, are GimKit and Bookit. A lot of teachers like to use those towards the end of the week when they are reviewing for tests, once they finish study guides and things like that. And the kids love to be able to get on there and compete in those games. And then each year we also use our back to school materials, we purchase back to school materials, our agendas and our Friday folders. You can go to that next one for me. Also, we purchase books for our school and classroom libraries. And then one big initiative we do each year, we did steal this from Miss Dodd and Krista Gray at Flat Rock. They helped us kind of kick this off, I think, last year, maybe year before last, but that was Battle of the Books. And then, of course, we use a lot of funds for our stream supplies and materials. Probably the biggest day of the year here, or I would say at least one of the biggest days of the year here, is National STEM Day. Miss Stone does a great job planning that, bringing in lots of community partners. And so we purchase a lot of stuff for that. We make it a big event for our kids here. And then technology-wise, The Chromebooks and Promethean boards have been purchased by our technology department the past couple of years. They've helped us refurbish some of those. So thankfully that hadn't been as big of a budget line item for us, but headphones and document cameras have been, I think, one of our larger purchases technology wise. Headphones, just recently, we've started to kind of switch those around. If you see some pictures of the students with the headphones with the microphones, we've been using those. Just recently had to buy a big set of those at the beginning of this year for things like map fluency and some other things that the students use their Chromebooks for. So I listed just a few of our community involvement opportunities. I tried to stick to our events that we specifically use Title I funds for. So we do have other events throughout the school year, but we actually we make sure we use our Title I funds to go directly towards just this handful of events. So our school-wide trunk or treat, especially for books and things like that. I've already mentioned National STEM Day. Our fall literacy night each year. This year we kind of matched that up with our one book, one school initiative as well. Our Jingle Jam, which is kind of like a mid-year STEAM / literacy night. We have lots of activities going on there, and we kind of couple that with our chorus program as well. And then our spring stream night, which we just had a couple weeks ago. I think that date is actually incorrect. Sorry about that, but we actually had it back in March. We moved that since it was so close to testing. But then again, like I said earlier, we use a lot of our funding for those stream supplies. And so that night is a good night for us to bring in parents. We had some gold mining and different things like that going on. You see some pictures there. One of the little robots up in the top right, and then some students building some log cabins in the top left there. And then that middle picture, I think I mentioned this before pretty much every year, but our wildlife geeks that come out of Greenville, the little boy in the middle there, he's got an iguana on his arm there. They got a little cover for him to have it crawling up his arm. But the wildlife geeks bring different animals every year for STEM Day. They actually came twice because we had some students jealous. Well, I would say students and teachers jealous that they didn't get to see the wildlife geeks on STEM Day. So we actually, Ms. Stone was able to get them to come back so they could see the rest of the students this year. So we did use some Title I funds for that as well. These are just a few pictures of some things we have going on that we use our Title I funds for. So that top left picture were our finalists for March Madness. The bottom left there was another little diorama type structure that they were building for the wild robot. And then the other four pictures come directly from STEM Day, our Jingle Jam, and then Stream Night. All of those pictures come from there. So a lot of STEM related things. And then that top right, I think they were, we had some medical professionals here on STEM Day to help show kids about like CPR and things like that. So, and then my last slide, this is for next year. So just going back to making sure we can provide salaries and benefits for 2 more teachers, and then our interventionist here. Again, make sure we can put as many instructional materials as we can in our teachers' classrooms. Technology and applications, it'll probably be similar to where we were this year with headphones, document cameras, any kind of repairs we need to, or replacements we need to make there. And then, of course, stream supplies, and then school and classroom libraries, of course, and then, our parent involvement opportunities, as many of those as we can pack in throughout the school year. So, and just some more pictures there from Jet Toy. Some of our artwork displayed in the hallway. Ms. Whitfield does a great job with those. And then, of course, bottom left there, that was Santa came, of course, for our Jingle Jam. And then bottom right there is in Miss Boggs' classroom. Miss Hip was able to come read them a book. And so, again, that kind of shows where we get to use our Title I funding for classroom libraries. So we can have different volunteers come in and read to our students. Does anybody have any questions for me? All right. Thank y'all.
Good morning. I'm excited to be here this morning and share some of the great things we have going on at Star Elementary. And so we'll go ahead and get started. Next slide, please. So for personnel, we also use Title I funding to fund 2 Classroom teachers, a first grade teacher and a second grade teacher, we know how important it is in those early childhood grades to reduce the class size as small as possible so teachers can really fill any gaps or deficits that students may have in small group or one-on-one instruction before getting to those upper elementary grades. We also fund our reading interventionist, Ms. Stephanie McClellan. She does a fabulous job pulling students throughout the day that may need extra support in reading. She also works with our students that are multilingual learners. She provides them with reading instruction as well as building that vocabulary that they need. And so we are just very thankful to have these extra teachers to, again, really provide that early intervention for students so that we can get them where they need before moving on into middle school. So Ms. McClellan, she works with students from kindergarten all the way to 5th grade. And so we are very thankful for this. And we know that it is a huge part of success there is when students go to 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade and they're able to read and to write on grade level. And so that is a huge part of our funds right there. And it is money well spent. Next slide, please. Okay, so our next slide that I'll talk about is our instructional materials. This is another big part of our money and our spending for our Title I. You'll see a lot of different materials on the side and some pictures of ways that we use those in the classrooms. So each year at the beginning of the year, as well as the middle and end, I'll send out a teacher survey to get their feedback on what are the materials and resources that they need so they can be successful and plan those really fun and engaging lessons in the classroom. So some of those materials that we've purchased with Title I funds this year are classroom manipulatives. And so that may be reading manipulatives for like reading tools that they use in their small group. It could be math manipulatives. You'll see a student that is counting using the base 10 blocks. And so those math manipulatives, we know that is from K4 all the way to 5th grade. You will see those in the classrooms. We also use that money for our books, to provide books for the library and to update our classroom libraries. We know how important it is for students to have that time to independent read, and we really like to keep those updated so that students, their high interest books that they can check out in the library as well as in their classroom. We purchase consumable supplies that may go along with our curriculum or supplement with our curriculum. For example, right now for the after-school program, we are using the SC Ready consumables to help prepare students for SC Ready. This is a great tool for our teachers to use to teach test-taking strategies, but we also use that money for reading and math, science, any other consumables that may help enhance our lessons. We have learning centers for reading and for math. So when teachers are working with students in small groups, we know it's important for the other students that are working to be engaged in their learning. And so those materials that they may need for centers, where that is, it may be center games, it may be other books or decodable readers that the students are using during that time. We also have purchased Secret Stories, which goes along with our phonics curriculum and instruction. And so this is just another great tool and resource that our teachers use to provide that strong visual and stories for students so that they will remember whatever the pattern or the word family is that they're working on at that time in the classroom. Again, any classroom supplies, that may be anchor charts, chart paper, markers, paper clips, anything like that that our teachers need and use on a daily basis. Back to school materials, like our Friday folders that we use to communicate each week with our families. We also do Battle of the Books, as well as this year we kicked off One Book, One School. And so Ms. Ivester did a great job planning that. Our students really enjoyed the read aloud and were excited to come to school each day and share what the chapter was about that they read with their family the night before and such. It was just a great way to get reading into our homes and our families. And again, Ms. Ivester did a great job with that. So we're excited to continue that next year. And you'll see in the pictures, again, we have a student using math manipulatives, markers and whiteboards. Those are materials that we purchase and that we have to purchase throughout the year. And then you'll see a student using that as one of the consumables that we use in the classroom as well. So this money is really used to make sure that our teachers have the resources they need to make the lessons engaging and fun for our students. Next slide, please. Okay, we have also purchased document cameras, headphones, charger cords, and tablets with our technology money that's set aside in Title I. One of the big things, like Mr. Powell was saying before, we have purchased several headphones this year for different programs that we use. MAP Fluency is one of the assessments that we use, so students have to read into the microphone. We also use it with Amira, which is an intervention program that goes along with our new HMH curriculum. And then our ML students also have a program that they're using through Lexia called Lexia English, where they have to read into the microphone. And so those headphones are expensive, but they are put to great use. And so that is where a large amount of that money went, as well as tablets. These are tablets that our teachers can use as they are teaching Reading Horizons. They're very lightweight. And so it's similar to a Kindle, but they can write on it and it can be displayed on their panel so that students can see it. So instead of being stuck sitting at a computer, the teacher's able to walk around and see what students are doing and what they're working on and if their work is correct, while they're also writing on the tablet and displaying it for the class to see. And so you can see some of our pictures there. One of the pictures is from our Wax Museum. These students used their technology. They used their Chromebooks to research a famous person or someone who's important to them. And then they dressed up at the Wax Museum and presented that information to community members, families, and staff members at STAR. You can see a student, he's presenting on the panel. And then we also have students using their Chromebooks in different ways for research, as well as one at the bottom, they are coding in class. And so just some different ways that we use those technology funds and how we implement technology in our classroom. Next slide, please. Okay, instructional programs. We have used Title I money this year for iExcel for the science portion for 4th grade. Our kindergarten teachers, they use Reading Eggs and Math Seeds. And so this really reinforces the letters and letter sounds that they're learning, as well as math fluency and number recognitions. We use Reflex Math, kindergarten through 5th grade. This program really works on fluency in math. We know how important it is for students to be able to add and to subtract and know those multiplication facts as they go on up, and that needs to be automatic. And so this program really does that for our students, so that when they get to the upper 4th and 5th grade, they're able to complete those multiplication problems, division problems, without slowing down and having to work it out each step. And so just a fluency program that's really helped our students. We also have purchased Vocabulary and Generation Genius in 5th grade, as well as our teachers use GimKit. And so you can see in some of the pictures some different instructional ways that we use these programs in our classroom, and how they are really there to enhance and reinforce the learning that students are doing each day. Next slide, please. For our STREAM class, we use this money to keep our materials updated in our classroom kits. These are things that our students are using daily in STEM class, whether it's magnetic tiles, blocks, clay, Play-Dohs, Legos. She sees, over 500 students each week, and so going through those materials and needing to replace those throughout the year. We also use this money for consumables and books and other supplies that Ms. McCall uses in the classroom. We have a STREAM night. We had that in the fall, and we paired that up with our trunk or treat event in hopes that we would get a large crowd. And we were very strategic with that so that families did not skip the STEM activities and go straight to trunk or treat. They had to first visit the STEM stations, and then they turned in their paper where they had checked off when they went to each station. And then when they had checked it all off, they were able to get a ticket and go through the trunk or treat line. And so this was a great event. We had a large turnout. Ms. McCall works really hard with our teachers and our staff to provide really engaging lessons that are fun for our families. And so you'll see some of those things in the pictures that take place in the classroom, some of the STEM projects that our students do. We also have a picture of a jet toy that just took place, as well as some coding that's going on in the classroom. And the picture in the center is a picture of our VEX team that competed. So we also use this money for our VEX team as well as our robotics team. When they go to different competitions, if there are any fees that need to be paid, we use this money for that as well. So this STEM class really just is such a blessing to have for our students. They really enjoy that time. And Ms. McCall does a great job using these funds to really benefit our students in that class and those programs. Next slide, please. This year, one of our big focuses at STAR was to provide different opportunities for our parents and our communities to come to get into our classrooms, into our school. And so you'll see a list of different things, but to break this down, at the beginning of the year, teachers knew that there was funding set aside where they would be able to plan a night for it could be a breakfast, it could be during the school day, or it could be at night, but an event where the families and their grade level would come in and either participate in the student learning, or the students would be able to present something they have learned to their families. And so the first part, you'll see how each classroom, they did come up with some great ideas and really fun, high engaging activities for our families to either participate in or see. And so Ms. Hayes, she is our preschool special needs teacher. Her class, they did a field trip this year, and they went with their families to the pumpkin patch. They've also participated in the Crescent Olympics as well as Special Olympics yesterday at VHP. Our K-4 program, they have worked with Ms. Davis and had muffins for moms and donuts for dad, and that was a great time for our families to come in and read books with their students and have a nice breakfast with them. Our K-5 teachers, they did a gingerbread house event at Christmas where the families were able to come in and they built gingerbread houses together. And so just a great fun time. The cafeteria was full of families for that event. And so if our families could not come, then our mentors were also there to help with the student, help them build that gingerbread house and really creating those special memories. Our first grade, they hosted their holiday market that they do each year. This is a school-wide event where the students, they make ornaments, they have different crafts that they create and they make ahead of time because they're working on consumers and producers. And then they sell these to students at school. And so just a great time for students throughout the building to participate in this event. And it's always a great turnout. On that same day, our families are able to come in and watch their student in a school play as well for first grade. Our second grade teachers, they created a pumpkin patch field trip at school where the students were able to pick a pumpkin out and they did a project and assignment with that. They have at the end of the year a how-to presentation where they're inviting their families in and the students will be able to show something they have researched, and they'll present that to their families using the technology and the Chromebooks that we have in the classroom. Our third grade, they had a wax museum. We had a picture before where we had the students, they researched a special person that they wanted to learn more about, and then they dressed up as them on that day, and families were able to come in and to learn more about what their student is doing in the classroom. They also participated in Farm Day. Our fourth grade, they had the idiom parade is coming up this Friday where students will dress up as an idiom and walk through the halls at STAR. They also did a glow writing event the same night as our trunk or treat. And so that was just a great turnout for our fourth graders. Fifth grade, they have hosted a few things this year. They had Jet Toy. We just finished our district competition. And this year we allowed our families to come in and observe that. And I think they really enjoyed seeing what the project they had been working on and how hard they had worked and how much pride they take in that. They also did a Veterans Day gallery walk where students presented their writing that they had researched and completed, as well as different artifacts and things that have been brought in by the students and the teachers were displayed for the parents and the students to walk through the halls and see. They'll also have their egg drop project this Friday at Star. And so that's just another fun time and event that our 5th grade team really works hard and does a great job with. Ms. McAllister, she did a cookies and cocoa drop-in for our parents. She is our resource teacher at Star, and she does a great job giving our parents different opportunities to come in and ask questions about their students' learning and their progress. And so she did that at Christmas. And then she also just had one in the spring where she allows parents to come in and provide any input or answer any questions they may have prior to the end of the year IEP meeting. And so just being available for our parents, but also for our students to answer any questions that they may have. We've had our grandparents' lunch, and we had a Grinch night at Christmas where we had service projects where students were completing. They were our Beta Club. They led this project where the students donated items, and then the Beta Club led those stations where students would come in and they completed, they created care packages that we donated to the local nursing home. And so this was a great turnout and a great way for our students to really give back to the community that really pours into us. We've had Stream Night that I mentioned before. Coming up, we have the Anderson Soiree where our chorus will perform. We've had guest readers in our mentor program and Star Squad. Just all of these are great opportunities for the community to come in and be a part of the learning and to really help our students at Star. And so we are so thankful for all of our guest readers and mentors and our parent volunteers that come in and help our students and our teachers. And then our last thing that we have coming up this school year is our Fine Arts Night. It is April 22nd. And this is where we will have artwork displayed, our chorus will be performing, and then we're also going to have student work up so that parents can do a gallery walk of different things that their students are learning at this time. Next slide, please. So for next year, we will continue to use a large sum of this money for 2 teachers and an interventionist, again, reducing the class size and being able to provide that small group and one-on-one instruction. We'll continue with our instructional materials, using the teacher surveys to see what they need so that they have the resources and tools to be successful in the classroom. And you can see the other things that we have discussed that I've went over as far as consumable materials, our technology and programs. With our programs, we work closely with Ms. Dickerson and Ms. Kraft to see what programs are we using and how effective are they. And so this is the time of year where we look at our usage and then also look at, is it effective in the classroom? So we'll be looking at which programs we're going to purchase for next year. We will continue with our stream supplies to keep those programs and that classroom running. We'll continue to enhance our library and classroom library so that our students have current books and high interest books to check out. And we'll continue with our parent workshops and community involvement opportunities. We have a lot of families that are willing and that want to participate and want to help. And so having that those opportunities has really been powerful this school year. We'll continue with our One Book, One School event. And then also something new that we're looking into is a school-wide behavior and academic incentives program. So that is something that we are in the middle of planning, but we know that that will be something that we use some of our Title I funds to help motivate our students because through all of this, our goal is to provide the best education for the whole child. So their academics as well as that social, emotional, behavioral learning. So yeah, we're excited and we are thankful for the district support as well as for these funds that really allow us to provide our students with high interest and engaging lessons in the classroom. Does anybody have any questions? Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I'm Christy Dodd, the principal at Flat Rock Elementary School. And in my office and school this morning, I'm joined by Candace Roberts, our assistant principal, Andrea Lawless, who is our school counselor, Carly Heron, our reading coach, and Darla Moore, who is our reading interventionist. A lot of what I have to say is pretty repetitive with what Ashley and Austin have said already this morning. And I want you to know one reason for that is because we work so closely together. It's very nice to work in a district that allows and encourages collaboration and support. And we are a first line support for each other. So you will hear me repeat a lot of what you've already heard, and I apologize for that. But let's go ahead to the next slide. So most of our Title I money is spent on personnel because at the end of the day, nothing replaces a good teacher, and nothing really replaces a good teacher with a smaller class size, especially with our primary grade students. So we are very fortunate that we can have an additional first and second grade teacher to make those class sizes smaller, as well as fund a reading interventionist who works K-5 through 5th grade with our students. Okay, next slide, please. We do spend a good bit of money with Title I in programming. Currently, this is a list of the programs we are using. I'd like to call attention to Reading Horizons because that's part of our Letters initiative. Those two have gone hand in hand in making a huge difference for our students, along with UFly. We also put a lot of emphasis on our iExcel program. The new programs for us this year are Vocabulary and Generation Genius. That's being used by our 4th grade classrooms to supplement their science instruction. Next slide, please. Instructional materials are very, very important, and this list is how we've chosen to spend our money. Every year, I try to give our teachers between $200 and $300 to add to their classroom library so that we can keep those libraries current with what the children are interested in. So high level, high interest books. We also work very hard to make sure our school library collection is as up to date as possible. Of course, we're also spending money on STEM materials and math manipulatives. We love Battle of the Books. We're very proud of that initiative that we started in the district this year. Was a very successful year for us. Consumable materials, we spend a lot of money on that. We have a real need in this building for, just like Ashley said, construction paper, printer paper, pencils, pens, crayons, markers, glue, scissors. And then we also spend that consumable money on things like our SC Ready Coach books. We're currently using those in our after school program, and we will continue to use those as a support for our teachers in 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Next slide, please. This year, we were able to bring all of our interactive panels up to date, and there is always a need for headphones. That's a big ticket item, especially in elementary school with testing. We were able to replace all of our testing headphones this year, as well as any accessories we needed for our Chromebooks. Next slide, please. Community involvement is a keystone for us at Flat Rock Elementary School. We are very, very blessed in our sweet community to have some incredible partnerships. Some that come to mind that are very active here. Michelin has been in our school longer than I have, and I've been here 10 years. They continue to provide us with a lot of support for our students who need them the most with our mentor program. We're also very, very blessed with our Reading Buddies program, which is based out of a couple of our local churches. We have a constant flow of visitors in the building who read with our children. And this year, one of our new initiatives has been a behavior block party for our 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade students. We've looked at behavior a little differently this year, and it's been very successful. And Joy Combs has been huge to come in and help us reward those students at the end of each month and each 9 weeks. We have been able to have parents in the building several times this year. I think about our fall family literacy night and the STEM night that we just had. We partnered with Duke Energy through some funding that Melissa Davis made me aware of. And they came in and helped us do our STEM night. We were able to have Title I parent meetings both times. In addition to that, we invite our families in every month and every 9 weeks for honor roll celebrations and Terrific Kid. And it is standing room only every time we invite our parents in here. We're getting ready to do our One School, One Book initiative for the year. We always like to do that around the spring of the year when we're testing to give our children something to really look forward to. But this year has been a very, very good year for us with our community involvement, not just our parents, but with all of our community partners as well. Next slide, please. Moving forward, we don't look to do anything very drastic. We will continue to fund those 2 primary grade teachers as well as our reading interventionist, and we will continue to try to make sure our teachers have everything they need with consumable materials, manipulatives, books, technology, just all of the above. Again, just looking at what we've done in the past, we feel like we're being very, very successful with the things that we're doing with this money, and we'll just continue that in the future. I appreciate everybody's time this morning. Do you have any questions for me? If not, thank you very much.
Good morning. I'm Larbeth Smith, and you have me for the duration. I have Title 2, 3, 4, and 5, so I'm going to get started, and we're going to keep this rolling. For Title 2, the allocation did decrease just a little bit down to $115,000 for this year. We used this to reduce class sizes at the middle school for a math teacher, and then we also used $9,278 to pay for our teacher mentors. I work with our induction teachers. We pay them a stipend at Christmas and then at the end of the school year. And these mentors are invaluable for our first year teachers, induction teachers who need that extra help. That first year as a teacher in the classroom, we feel like this is money very well spent. And we all know that there is a teacher shortage, and one of the best ways to help keep our good teachers and keep our first year teachers is to provide them a mentor, so that just to give them someone that they can talk to and someone to help them and guide them through that first year of teaching. So I feel like this is very important, and also reducing class sizes. And another math teacher is always a good thing at a middle school. So that is how we use our Title II funds. Moving on to Title III. Okay, so Title III is our MLL population. That used to be ELL, and then we went to ESOL, and now we're MLLs. And this is our MLL population, our multiple language learners. Our allocation increased just a little bit this year, and that's because our numbers increased. And this year we serve 94 MLL students. That money is spent on family engagement. We will purchase literacy packs for our ages 3 to pre-K students. We feel like this is important to send home reading packs with these students so that they can read at home with their parents. We use some of this funding for purchase services, which is a data program where we are able to store our ILAPs, and the ILAPs are updated in this program. This is important for our MLL teachers, Miss Heather Smith at the elementary school, and then we have Mr. Kel Simpson, who is at the middle school and the high school. They work very closely with teachers to create these ILAPs, and this is very important for us to be able to keep a place to store the ILAPs. And just some travel for myself. I'm the MLL coordinator for the district, and just some travel so that I can attend state meetings. You can click on the MOA that we signed. We are part of a consortium with Anderson School Districts. This is if you do not receive as much funding, you are part of a consortium, and we work with Anderson 5 very closely with how we spend this money, and we submit an MOU every year, and we sign an agreement that we'll work together. So you can take a look at that. So that's for Title III. Again, that's working with those MLL students. One of the things that I'm also the attendance coordinator for the district, and I was looking at the attendance rates for our MLL students, and right now their attendance rate is 94.7%, and I think that's a good testament to these students coming to school. And I think that we have two really good teachers that help promote attendance and make sure that these students are doing the best that they can. And I was very proud of that attendance rate for that group. That's 94 students, and their attendance rate is 94.7%. That's higher than the district average. So I looked at that number, and I was really proud of that number. So just want to throw that out there. Okay, we can move on to Title IV now. All right, so Title IV, as you can see, the funding went down just a little bit for 24-25, but we use this money so that we can have a STREAM teacher at every elementary school. We have Ms. Stone at Iva, we have Ms. McCall at Flat Rock, and we have Ms. Ms. McCall at Star and Ms. Miller at Flat Rock. So we have one teacher at each school, and they all do a fantastic job working with those STREAM nights that you've already heard about, working with the robotics, and we'll look at some more pictures here in a little bit of what they do throughout the school year. But that's how we use the Title IV money. We'll move on to Title V. Okay, so Title V, this funding went up for this year, $120,885.55. Part of it is for salary and then STREAM supplies. And I'll show you some of the ways that we use these STREAM supplies in the next few slides. So Title V funds, they help fund materials and supplies for our STREAM activities. And remember, STREAM is science, technology, reading, engineering, arts, and math. That runs the gamut. So you'll be able to see several things that we are able to provide with those STREAM supplies. Some of the competitions, here's some pictures. We already heard about VEX Robotics. We've had several competitions. We had at AIT. We had a competition at North Point. We had a group that went on to the state competition in Greenville. We have a jet toy teams at every elementary school, and then we had our A3 jet toy competition here at Star Elementary. They've been hosting us for several years. We had that competition a couple of weeks ago. It was the Friday before spring break. So we had a great time there, and we send the top 4 teams from each elementary school when we have a district jet toy competition, and that's always fun. We still send teams for the First Lego League competitions. And at the middle school, we do a glider competition. Miss Johnny Cape does a fantastic job with that. She's our STREAM robotics teacher, gateway teacher at Star Iva Middle School. She does a fantastic job with glider. She also sends teams to the VEX competitions. She has 6th, 7th, and 8th graders. And it's always great to see the students that started in the 4th grade in our robotics program, and then by the 8th grade to see how much they have changed and how much they progressed and how much smarter they are and how competitive they are at these competitions. It's just amazing to me to see the transition from 4th grade to 8th grade. Again, we do a partnership with AIT and First Quality. They help us with the VEX robotics competitions. They help pay for the lunch. So we do a scrimmage with one day as an elementary on a Thursday, and then on Friday we do the middle school scrimmage, and then we have a competition the following week. It's a good way for our students to get practice before the real deal the next week. So we're very thankful for them for hosting us, and they do a fantastic job of hosting us. They also help with professional development and the VEX competition. So they help us with the scrimmages one week, and then the next week we have a competition. So we're thankful for them and that partnership and working very closely with them. And our students get the opportunity to meet students from all over the county. That scrimmage was just districts 3, 4, and 5. And so these students were able to meet elementary and middle school students from all over the county. And I think that's very important for our students to see what other schools are doing and learn from each other. So it's a great day for our students. Next slide. Yep. So I had to throw in STEAM Camp. This will be their 8th year for STEAM Camp. Up 7th year because we missed the year 2020, but this will be our 7th year. We have all aspects of STREAM: science, technology, reading, arts, and math. You can see the first picture, we had some students. We used indoor drones. Mr. Spear right there, he taught students how to use violins. We purchased violins for the students to use during STEAM Camp. One day we went to the Sadler's Creek, and Miss Jessica Davis with 4-H, she met us there, and they did all kind of activities, and we did some rotations. And what's always amazing to me is to find out how many students have never been to Lake Hartwell. They've never been to Lake Hartwell and have never been to this particular park. So we expose them to, you know, a location that they can visit with their family that is just right in our backyard. It's a 10-minute drive from Star Ivy Middle School. It's a 15-minute from any of our elementary schools. So I just think giving them more opportunities to see what's around them. And also Ms. Davis does such a fantastic job with all the different activities she brings out too. So that's another good way to expose our students to just all different types of ways to be more involved with STREAM and learn more about STREAM. Okay. And our fine arts program. So we use a good bit of this money for our fine arts programs. We purchase music supplies, instruments. We purchase their actual music that they'll use at concerts and performances. You can see Mr. Spear, they were, this was the performance right before our Veterans Day program. They did a fantastic job. Mr. Waters took a picture of his students in his class, and he actually pointed out the instruments that those students are performing. He pointed out the ones that we had actually purchased with Title V funds. He sent me an email and he said, hey, I wanted you to know these students are using these instruments right here that you purchased with Title V funds. So that was exciting to me. And then up top, that was one of their competitions. And all of our music programs have seen a lot of success. We've had, just recently, we had Miss Caitlin Hamilton. She took a student and his family out to Dallas, Texas, and they performed. That was fantastic. Mr. Waters has seen a lot of success. Mr. Spear has seen a lot of success. And these groups, they're growing and they're performing, and they're just, they're doing a fantastic job with our fine arts program. So very proud of this group, and they should all be having spring concerts coming up very soon. They've all sent me calendar invites. So they're all good opportunities for you to come out and see them perform at all these groups. So very proud of this group. And we spend a good bit of money in this area with our music program. I feel like we have definitely increased with participation and interest in all of these programs. I know the schools have already talked about this, but I would like to mention this because the Title V funds actually purchase the book, one book for every child at the elementary school level for their One Book, One School initiative. Every single student gets this book. Some of them, I know Ivy Elementary, they incorporated this into their first STREAM night, their literacy night at the beginning of the year. This was a fantastic evening. The weather was perfect. There was not a cloud in the sky. And they talked about all the activities had to do with Charlotte's Web. There were piglets there. It was a great, great night. And I really enjoyed that. And the other two schools, they've both, they've done all kind of activities with their One Book, One School initiative. And I think this has been a very good way to spend Title V money so that every student in all 3 elementary schools receive this same book, and so that they can do all types of school activities, after school activities, talking with parents about this book, and everybody knows about the One Book and One School initiative. So very excited about that, and I'm glad we can be a part of that. So. Okay, next slide. I think that is all for me. Dr. Nixon, I think you'll hop on and talk about the surveys. But I have thoroughly enjoyed speaking to you about Title II, 3, 4, and 5. If I can ever do anything, if you had any suggestions, ways that we can improve this, any of these areas, always open for any kind of feedback, suggestions, comments. So proud of our STEAM program, proud of our fine arts program, proud of our STEAM teachers and our STEAM program. MLL teachers, they worked diligently hard with all of our 94 students. It's a great day to be in Anderson 3. A lot of good things to talk about and a lot of good ways that we can toot our own horn, which we should do because we are number 5. Thank you very much.
Dr. Smith. Thank you, Dr. Smith. We certainly appreciate all you do, and thank you for covering Title II through 5. And just to recap, Title I primarily serves our elementary schools, and we choose to do that because we feel like if we get a good foundation educationally for our students and get them off on the right foot, they are going to excel in middle school and high school. But as you can see from the presentations and from Dr. Smith's information that she shared, Title II through 5 covers all of our schools, kindergarten through 12th grade. So to provide input for all of that, we survey all of our parents and all of our faculty and staff, kindergarten through 12th grade, and we have representation on this committee from all of our schools. All 3 elementary schools, the middle school, and the high school has representation and has input, as well as their teachers and their parents. We've tried to provide you the survey results in their entirety. So anybody that wants to look at that, we are not going to pull it up because it is a lot of information to digest, but we've also tried to provide a survey summary. So we take all of the information that's in the Excel spreadsheet from the responses and provide that into a 1.5 page summary for you to take a look at, for us to share for this committee and for people to use internally with their own school improvement councils and their leadership teams to kind of look at where they're at and where they're going and what's the best place for us to spend that money. So we spend a lot of time around these survey responses, digesting them, but we've tried to do a better job this year of providing you with a summation of that information so you can take at a glance and kind of see where we're at. So those links are there. If anybody has any questions or concerns after seeing those, please reach out and let us know anything that you see. Next slide shows you links to all of our completed plans. Now, we'll share with you that some of the plans are not completed yet because they've not gone through the approval process through the State Department. There has been some delay through their routing and receiving of federal funds, specifically in the Title IV and Title V arena. So those plans, although they've been submitted, are still in submittal phase for the State Department of Education, and we cannot post those until they're actually gone completely through that submittal process. So what our plan is everyone that's on this presentation today, we will be emailing you those PDFs once they've gone through the entire process through the State Department for you to have to review as well. But I can tell you that those plans have been massaged slightly, but they've not changed drastically from last year's plans. So other than updating some numbers, those plans, we feel like those plans are working very, very well, and we have data to back that up. Therefore, we're continuing those plans in the vein that they were initially created, and they are STREAM initiatives. So Dr. Smith kind of alluded to some of the stuff that's being done there. So finally, we can wrap up. We can ask if at the end of this presentation, we'll give an opportunity for any questions. But again, here's all the contact information I can share with you. Feel free to reach out by phone, email, or come by and see us. We would love input on any of the things we discussed today or any of the things having to do with the instructional operations of Anderson School District 3. We get stronger with information, and we appreciate your input. So if anyone does anyone have any questions? Again, we thank you for your time. I'm sorry we went over just a little bit, a lot of good information to share, and people are very excited about sharing the positive and amazing thing going on in Anderson School District 3. And again, we look forward to hearing from you. Have a great day.